Welcome to Bible Time with Grandpa. Today we are going to look at the history of evolution. And before we begin, if you could, or if you have not, go ahead and pause the video and read 2 Peter chapter 3, verses 3 to 7. All right, so in the next two videos, we're going to take a slight detour from our study in Genesis. As we'll see here in a minute, it is very relatable. So these two videos will answer the question, when and why was there a move away from a literal interpretation of Genesis? And I believe we find our answer in 2 Peter chapter 3, verses 3 to 7. And in fact, I look at 2 Peter chapter 3, verses 3 to 7 as a prophecy that was fulfilled. And we'll get into the fulfillment of it as we get further into this video. And so let's talk about the evolution of evolution. And it began with the age of the earth. And so how did molecules demand evolution, macroevolution, or what we simply call evolution began? You see, there was a time that the age of the earth was generally accepted to be 6 to 10,000 years old. Before the coming of evolution, historians and scientists alike would date the earth within that time frame. And these studies on the history of the world would often be compatible with, or would even have been influenced by, the Bible itself. One of the most thoughtful, recognized, and accepted studies in this field came from Archbishop James Ussher. So around 1650, Ussher's work, The Annals of the World, dates the creation of the world to be about 4004 BC. And if you follow any of the creation scientists, a lot of them will bring about that date, and will even hold to that date because of the thoughtful work done by James Ussher. So nothing in this world required, nor did any agreed upon scholarship of the sciences suggest our world to be more than thousands of years old until James Hutton. James Hutton is recognized as the father of modern geology. He is called the father of modern geology because he brought a significant change to the study of geology. And guess what that change was? Of course, the change was a much, 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 much older Earth. So Scottish chemist James Hutton would frequently visit a rock formation and thinks that this formation took place over a much longer period of time by a slow, gradual process. You see, much of the geological record gives evidences of flooding, not only where James Hutton was looking, but really all over the world. So in verses 5 and 6 in our text of 2 Peter chapter 3, it says that these scoffers will be willingly ignorant of the flood, which we are most surely convinced that he is speaking about the flood in Noah's time, Genesis chapter 6, which we will get there shortly. So to be willingly ignorant of something is to intentionally reject information to maintain or to create a false belief. And I believe this is what Hutton did. Hutton theorized that the present is key to the past. You see, what Hutton had observed is no sudden or quick movement of this rock formation, so he concluded that it was formed from a long, slow, gradual process. He theorized that what we observed now is how it has always happened. And he called this theory uniformitarianism. And this sounds like what we read in our text in verse 4. So what did these scoffers hold to, or what did these scoffers say? This is what the scoffers said there in 2 Timothy chapter 3 in verse 4. All things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation. So what did Hutton uniformitarianism deny? What did these scoffers deny in 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 4? They denied that the world was judged by a worldwide flood. And so they both denied that there was evidence of flooding. And this is what Hutton did. And I believe Hutton did this willingly, ignorantly. He denied this. So he denied that the possibility that this formation was a result of a catastrophic flood. And so from this theory, he published a book. And the name of his book is called The Theory of the Earth. And he is touted as a hero by modern evolutionary geologists, for this is the beginning of the dating of the Earth much, much older, and dating it way beyond of the thousands of years we mentioned earlier. And so from this, we ended up with competing theory of origins. So before this time, it was pretty much accepted, the Genesis record. And of course, there were some variations and some different theories put to it, but none so extreme until the advent of Hutton, and who would follow Hutton by other than a guy by the name of Charles Lyell. So Charles Lyell picked up Hutton's book, and he loved it. And Lyell takes Hutton's theory much further. So between 1830 and 1833, Lyell wrote a 3-volume book series called The Principles of Geology. Now, we're not sure what Hutton's motivation was, but we know what Lyell's motivation was. Lyell is quoted as saying he wanted to free science from Moses. See, up until that time, the Bible was regarded as truth, as history, and these kind of things. And so the broader study of science regarded the Bible in their study in the sciences until Hutton, and then of course until Lyell. And so Lyell wanted to free people of the influence of the Genesis record with his own theory. And so he fell in love with Hutton's work. And Lyell wanted more people to move away from the Bible, more specifically from the Genesis flood. And again, if you read that passage, 2 Peter chapter 3, verses 3 to 7, it tells us why they want to deny a catastrophic flood. Because there's a coming judgment. This is what they don't like. Why gravitate toward the theory of evolution and do it so willingly, ignorantly? Is to deny a God who judges. And so Lyell's motivation was spiritual. It was not scientific. So guess who picks up Lyell's book? None other than Charles Darwin. And so Charles Darwin began working with Lyell, which inspired him to write his book in 1859 by the name of On the Origin of Species. And so there are so many problems with evolution. And sadly, we know the popularity that Darwinian evolution has gained. You know, the more I personally investigated this and studied the history of Christianity here in America and what came out of Great Britain and the compromise of scriptures, that it was all influenced partly by these theories, the theories of uniformitarianism and evolution. And I realized how underappreciated this damage was to Christianity, and I believe this is true this truth to be with most Christians, is they don't really know or understand to the depths this damage had been done by the theory of evolution. So in the next video, we will see how Christianity responds to the theory of evolution. And so I hope you learned something, and that was a help to you and give you more context to the truth of God's word and the enemies of it. And I'm praying for you. I love you. Have a blessed day. Thank you.